In the heart of New York City, on the 70th floor of a glass skyscraper, sat Justice Kalu, the Nigerian tech billionaire who had taken America by storm. Everything about his life glittered. His expensive suits, luxury penthouse, the line of exotic cars, and the women who wanted him for all the wrong reasons. But amidst the glamour, Justice sat alone each night, his soul aching for something money couldn't buy. "I don't want a woman who loves my wealth. I want one who loves my soul," he once told his mother on a video call. His parents, Mr. Kizzy and Mrs. Rebecca Kalu, still rooted in traditional Igbo values, had been begging him for years. "My son, come home. Marry a woman from our land. A good girl who knows respect, not those women who marry for credit cards." And finally, Justice agreed. Not to appease his parents, but because his heart longed for sincerity. So, without bodyguards or the flash of cameras, Justice returned to Nigeria, not as a billionaire, but as an ordinary man with nothing. When Justice stepped foot in Aba, the air smelled of dust, fried plantains, and raw life. It was noisy, chaotic, and real. He checked into a rundown one-room apartment with cracked walls and a leaking roof. He sold his Rolex, gave away his designer clothes, and bought himself a dented wheelbarrow and a pair of torn slippers. The next morning, he joined dozens of other poor men, pushing heavy goods across Ariaria Market for small tips. It was there he met John, a loud, street-smart wheelbarrow pusher with quick hands and a quicker tongue. "You be fresh, boy. This your hand never see suffering," John laughed on the first day. Justice chuckled. "Maybe suffering is what I need to understand life." The two became friends, or so Justice thought. Life in Aba was unkind. Each day, Justice rose before sunrise and walked barefoot to the market. Under the unforgiving sun, he carried heavy loads, bruised his hands, and was shouted at like a stray dog. "Oh yeah! Move that your dead wheelbarrow before I slap you!" He was robbed twice, once by a gang of street thugs and another time by a boy no older than 10. On both occasions, John was mysteriously missing. Justice started to suspect John, but said nothing. There were days Justice went to bed without food, days when rain soaked his mattress, days when he cried silently, doubting his own experiment. But he pressed on, believing that somewhere in that chaos, his destiny awaited. Her name was Precious. She was different. She wore faded clothes but walked like a queen. She sold pure water on her head, balancing the basin with ease. Her laughter was rare but beautiful, like rain after a drought. One day, when Justice collapsed from exhaustion near the banana stall, Precious came to him with cold sachets of water and a small bowl of rice. "You look like someone who hasn't eaten. Take." "Why are you helping me?" Justice asked, dazed. "Because no one helped my father when he was sick, and I promised God if I ever see someone in pain, I won't walk away." Justice was stunned. That day, her kindness carved a permanent space in his heart. Days turned into weeks. Justice and Precious grew closer. She would greet him with a shy smile, sometimes slip money into his pocket, or bring leftover food from her mother's shop. Justice had never felt this way before. Her simplicity moved him more than any luxury ever could. But then one day, John came to him with a twisted smirk.
You see that girl wey they follow? That girl na better runs girl. So if you dey follow her, make your mind dey there o. One day, she fit useless you and run away. You fit ask anybody about the girl. They go tell you, everybody know her. Everybody knows say that girl na better runs girl.
Justice's heart stopped. "She's a prostitute?" he whispered. John nodded.
Yes now. All this food wey they bring for you, and all this money wey they give you, where you think saying they get them?
Justice's world spun. Anger, shame, and betrayal clouded his heart. That evening, when Precious brought him food, he pushed it away with venom in his voice. "I don't eat from prostitutes." Precious stood frozen. The bowl slipped from her hands. The food splashed into the mud. "What did you say?" "You heard me," he snapped. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't argue. She turned around, walked away in silence, and never came back. The days after were long, gray, and cold. Justice couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The market noise became a blur. John was laughing more than usual, which only deepened Justice's suspicion. Eventually, he began to ask around. A vegetable seller told him, "Precious, that girl we dey hawk water for her mama and care for her sick papa. She no even get time for boyfriend. You call her prostitute? Chai? You wicked." Justice's knees buckled. he confronted John. You lied. John only laughed. So what? You no be wheelbarrow pusher again? Justice punched him so hard that John stumbled into a pile of rotten tomatoes. It was over. Justice ran to Precious's house, mud splashing under his feet, heart racing. Precious's home was a small mud brick house with a zinc roof. Her father sat outside, carving wood with trembling hands. Her mother was washing clothes in a bucket. Justice knelt before them. Please, I need to see her. The mother spat on the ground. After what you called our daughter, you want to see her now? He bowed his head in shame. I was deceived. I broke her heart. I came to fix mine. The father stood up and placed a hand on Justice's shoulder. A man who admits his wrong is greater than a man who never sins. That evening, Precious came out in silence. She looked tired, thinner, sadder. I came to say I'm sorry, he whispered. Not just for the name I called you, but for not trusting the goodness I saw in you. She looked into his eyes. You broke me, Justice. Can I fix you? He asked. There was a long pause, then came the answer. If you're patient enough to wait for me to heal, then yes. From that moment, they began again, slowly, as friends, as confidants. Justice taught her how to write emails. She taught him how to wash clothes by hand. They laughed together, prayed together, dreamed together. They built a bond rooted not in wealth or looks, but in vulnerability. One day, under a mango tree, Justice took her hands and said, I have nothing, but I have love. Will you marry me? She smiled. Let's build a life from scratch. I believe in us. Justice arranged for a makeover. Not to change her, but to present her to his parents in the best light. He took her to Enugu, bought her a dress the color of sunrise, wrapped her hair in silk, gave her shoes that didn't hurt her feet. When they arrived at the Kalu mansion, his mother almost fainted. Who is this gorgeous woman? Justice grinned. This is Precious, the one you said no to. His father laughed. You tricked us. Justice smiled. No, I taught you. No one is ugly, only hidden. That evening, Justice took her to his true home, a mansion overlooking a private lake. She gasped. Where are we? Our home. Justice, he looked into her eyes. I'm not poor, my love. I'm a billionaire. I disguised myself to find a woman who loves me without wealth, and I found you. Precious collapsed in tears. He held her close. But why me? Because you saw a man in the mud and chose to love him. They held each other tightly, no longer separated by wealth or wounds. The wedding between Justice and Precious was nothing short of divine. Traditional dancers lined the path. Tears flowed freely. The whole of Abba buzzed with excitement. But beneath the celebration, Precious remained deeply grounded. She hadn't forgotten where she came from. A pure water hawker, the daughter of a poor carpenter and a market woman, the girl who once sat alone under the mango tree, wondering if life would ever smile on her. Now she had the world at her feet, but her heart, it still belonged to the streets that raised her. One quiet morning, 2 weeks after the wedding, Precious stood by the lake in their new home. She held her father's rough, trembling hands. Papa, she whispered, your hands gave us everything, but you never had a place to teach what you know. He nodded, teary-eyed. A few months later, the Kalu School of Creative Carpentry was opened in their village. A beautiful, red brick building with wide windows and wooden doors, carved by Precious's father himself. It offered free education to village boys and girls, teaching them how to build, how to dream, and how to craft with pride. Her mother, who had once hawked vegetables under the hot sun, now wore lace wrappers and walked with grace. But Precious hadn't forgotten those mornings when her mother would cry quietly over onions, unable to afford pepper and tomatoes for the next day. So, one sunny afternoon, Precious took her mother to a brand new building beside the village square. It was painted in warm yellows, with soft music playing from within. What is this? Her mother asked. It's yours, Precious smiled. Your own bouquet and food store. No more hawking, no more sweat, only beauty. Her mother wept in her arms. She had never seen flowers so fresh. She had never dreamed of owning anything so elegant. They named it Mama Precious Floral and Food House. But Precious's biggest dream was not for herself. She remembered the boy who stole Justice's wallet that night in the market. The boy couldn't have been more than 9. She remembered the empty bellies she saw daily, the cracked feet, the eyes that stopped dreaming. So with Justice's full support, she established the Precious Foundation for Street Children. They began with 50 children. then 100, then 500. Each child got a bed. Each child got a plate of warm food. Each child got clothes, education, and a voice. Most importantly, they got love. And every night, before the children went to sleep, Precious would tell them, "You matter. You are not forgotten. You are not poor. You are becoming." 1 year into their marriage, Justice took Precious on a quiet evening walk. He led her into a small garden behind their mansion. There, under a spotlight, was a glass case. Inside was the very wheelbarrow he once pushed under the Abba's sun. And on a golden plate read, "This carried sweat, shame, and suffering. But it also carried the love that changed my life." Precious stepped closer. She was silent for a long time. Then she placed her hand on the glass and whispered, "And I was the girl who once gave a poor man water, not knowing he would give me the world." Justice turned her to face him, his voice shaking. "No, my love, you didn't just give me water, you gave me forgiveness, you gave me peace, you gave me purpose." The village once mocked Precious. Now they bowed when she passed. The same market women who had once said she would amount to nothing now sent their daughters to her school. John? He watched from afar, older, lonelier. And though Justice never held a grudge, he never let him back in. Every evening, Justice and Precious would sit on the same wooden bench outside their mansion, watching the stars. Sometimes she would rest her head on his chest and ask, "Would you do it all again?" And every time he would reply, "1,000 times over, if it means finding you." And so a billionaire who once searched for loyalty in disguise found it in a poor girl with dusty feet and a rich heart. Together, they redefined what love means, not luxury, not beauty, not status, but kindness, forgiveness, sacrifice, and rising together.